I'm Bexx with Black Whisper Crafts. That's Bexx with Black Whisper Crafts. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you're new to my channel, I just do a whole plethora of all different kinds of things. So there's generally something that you'll like. Just want to get into this. This is everything collaboration, which is this time for these 3 months. This is the last month for it. It was July, it was August, September, October, 3 months. August, September, October. Everything in the garden this time. Everything in the garden, and it is hosted by Jayne at the Crafting Shed Davies. If you haven't checked out her channel, you should pop over there and do it. She's done some really awesome things, and I'll get right into it today. Everything in my garden is going dormant for the winter now. So I thought I would do something different and do an autumn type garden. So I'll just show you things I use, and then we'll get into what I did. I used this, which is awesome. I don't even know what it's called, if it's mesh, if it's what, but I used the green. And I used the brown. I got these from the Dollar Tree. It's really awesome stuff. And if you ever want to use anything like this, be sure, and if you're going to put something on top of it, just put your fabric tack on the back of that item you're going to put on top of it, and then just put this down. That way you don't have to bother gluing any of this. Just a little something I learned along the way. I'll put these aside over here. And I also use this pretty gray stretchy ribbon. So pretty. That reminds me, I have some of this gray elastic. I need to put some gray, some boring gray ribbon on it, and that'd be cute. That would be cute. Okay. I'm ADD, so I'm easily distracted. Let me carry on. And I used Tim Holtz Distress Ink Mustard Seed. And I used the Ranger Distress Archival Ink, waterproof, ground espresso, and black soot. And of course I use Sunny's yarn, which you can tell this is her ball of yarn, but I need a black, not ball of yarn, but her yarn. Buy her yarn at the Dollar Tree, of course. And yeah, I use black yarn. And as long as she doesn't see it, she will keep playing in her tunnel over there. If you hear crackling noises, that's her running in and out of that crackle tunnel. Sunny is my 7-pound biscuit maker. She is a ginger kitty. And I also use this Stampin' Up, very vintage. I used this long stamp right here of the flowers. They look like flowers, winter flowers. Cosmos, that's what it looks like to me on a vine. They stand pretty tall, but anyway, that's what they look like. And then I also use these vintage looking roses here, which are very pretty. And that glares so much, so I took this paper out, so hopefully you can see it better. It's not such a glare, but very vintage from Stampin' Up. It's probably from 2016, 17, or 18. I'm not sure if they even have it anymore, but there it is. That's what I use, the vining roses and then the big rose. I also use some of my little Temu stickers. And this is what I store my stickers in. I have a whole big tote, and all of my stickers, the separate stickers, are like this. But for some reason, usually I look at the size, and if they're not smaller than this 3x3, I don't order them. But these don't fit in there. If you know me, I like things to be organized and in their little places. So I may have to cut these down just so they'll fit in there. Or I could make a journal, right? And just use them up. But use some of these little stickers from the Temu, and I will show you what I made. And hope this is okay, Jayne, because this is my forte, this spooky and the autumn winter seasons. I like the other seasons, but this just is the what I vibe with, the spooky and the haunted and the creepy. But my pumpkin patch, that's what's in my garden, is pumpkins. So pardon me, not actually my garden. My neighbor has a garden with pumpkins in it, but I can have them anytime I want. So I digress. There's my pumpkin in the pumpkin patch, and pansies are out prevalent in my neighborhood here, and it's really pretty with their pumpkin patch. They have the pansies all around it. It's so pretty. But this butterfly pansy, that's an old advertisement back there, and so I just glued my pumpkin on there, and I used some of this right here, the green, and put it behind the pumpkin so it kind of looked like vines. And then I put the brown behind the whole thing just to add some, that sounds funny, brown to add color, but it just brightened it up. That Borgan looking, I think that's a Borgan pattern. Borgan? I could be really wrong. I'm sure somebody will correct me. But just to brighten it up a bit from the black. And there's the stickers I use, the owl and the skeleton. And I just added the ghosties to the garden. And this is what the pumpkins are thinking. There seemed to be no possible escape, an unfortunate ending. Of course, we all know. We pick the pumpkins and we make pumpkin things out of them. I love pumpkin pie. Homemade pumpkin pie. Not store-bought, but homemade. Yes, yummies. So, this is going to be for a journal, to go in a junk journal. But that's my garden right there. The pumpkins and the pansies and the owl and the tree and the ghosties are just, you know, float through. So when you open it up, there's the little pages you can journal on, and that's where I use the Stampin' Up! The little vines there on each page, and they're already coffee dyed or tea dyed, one or the other. But I just put the yellow on there just to make it look more like a harvest season for the garden. And I only stamped this page, not the back, the fronts, not the backs. So you can journal there. And isn't that cute? My little bow of Sunny's little yarn. I just used my crocodile and just put it on the smallest hole and just held them together and punched through. This is just in the middle. Did it all the way to the back. That. And let's see. I did ink around these edges. But I found this washi tape. Let me get it here. In my stash. A whole bunch of these. I hardly ever use them. But all of the, this is a whole poem. When I look forth at dawning, pool, field, flock, and lonely tree, all seem to gaze. This is part of the poem, and then this is part of the poem, and this also is part of the poem. So, me being as curious as I am about things like that, I wanted to find the author and see if it was actually a poem or a book or what. So, I did. I looked up, has some vast imbecility, mighty to build and blend, but impotent to tend, framed us in jest. I looked that up, and I actually found it is a poem. Look here. I found this it's from Poet's Corner. I googled it. From Wessex Poems and Other Verses, Nature's Questioning by Tom Hardy. And here it is, if you care to hang out and hear what it is. When I look forth at dawning, pool, field, flock, and lonely tree, all seem to gaze at me, like chastened children sitting silent in a school, their faces dulled, constrained, and worn, all through the master's ways, through the long teaching days, had cowed them till their early zest was overborne. Upon them stirs in lifting mirror, as if once clear in call, but now scarce breathed at all. We wonder, why we find us here. Has some vast imbecility, might to build and blend, but that word really is terrible for me. Has vast imbecility, mighty to build and blend, but impotent to tend. It's just, my brain can't wrap around it, sorry. Framed us in jest and left us now in hazardry. Or come we of an automation unconscious of our pains, or are we live remains of Godhead dying downward, brain and eye not gone? Or is it that some high plane betides, as yet not understood, of evil stormed by good? We the forlorn hope, over which achievement strides, thus things around, no answerer I. Meanwhile, the winds and rains and earth's old glooms and pains are still the same, and life and death are neighbors nigh. It really was a poem. Look at that. I mean, I did a terrible reading of it, but yes. So I took the page and I just cut it out so it looked like it was just torn out of the book, and inked up the edges. And I did use that, the roses, and I stamped them in yellow on it. And then I did some more of the ground espresso around to make it look aged and worn. And then it turned out pretty cool. Then I did some really lightly, I did the ground espresso on the back, and then I lightly stamped the roses. But yeah, it really was a poem. I thought that was really interesting. But yes, I have mushrooms in the back north 40 of our property. Some mushrooms and leaves, and of course there's still a few dandelions. You can make some dandelion tea too. But yes, and a few flowers back there. That's what's in my garden this time that things are starting to hibernate. But I wanted to share, and the poem from the Poet's Corner, the Wessex Poems and Other Verses, Nature's Questioning by Thomas Hardy. And that's my pumpkin. That's what's in my garden. Thank you so much for watching. And thank you everybody, all of my new subscribers. I have a lot. It's so exciting. Thank you, Jayne, for hosting the everything in the garden. And this is what I made. Just show you real quick again. There's my pumpkin and everything in the garden. And then there's the back garden stuff. And then just the pages that you can journal in. It's really cute. And let me put this back in here because I think that should stay with that. Let's see. What are we going to do with it? I made a page in my October daily. And I think this will be perfect for it. Day 2. There's my pumpkins. So I think I'm going to put this in here. That'll be cute and fun. That'll be a cute, fun addition. Oh, you can barely see. Right there is the gray ribbon there. Kind of blended in. There. Yeah, that is so cute. That'll work. Awesome. Thank you so much for sticking around. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.